Okay, so this is a second update. What I've done is I've created a explosive obstacle, so to speak. I've created the stack mesh for it to be a rock for now, but I will either change it to a bomb or an explosive crate or something, just to fit more in a 2D side-scroller world. Well, 2.5D. I've made a level complete door which will send you to the level complete screen and the out, or if you run out of time, the out of time screen. I will be adding a you died screen eventually. I've made it so that the health pickup actually gives you health now instead, as the explosion actually damages the player. The level complete screen looks like this. Very simple, but it works with a working return to menu button. And same with the out of time screen. Very simple, but with a working return to menu button. That on both of them, I set it so that in appearance, style, when it's hovered over, it will just turn a little yellow color, just to make sure that you know you're hovering over it. From there, we can show you the out of time screen first. I have created a main menu level, but I haven't added anything into it yet. That will be coming at a later point. So let's just quickly show you the out of time screen. There it is. Return to menu. When you hover over it, it goes yellow, and it takes you to this. And okay, let me go back and change the minutes to 5 again. I'll compile that, and now we'll talk about how I did the door, level complete door. It was simply just a stack mesh, which is just a standard start content door frame with a collision box inside of it, and when the player overlaps with this box, it will create the level complete widget that I made, add it to the viewport, and pause the game. Now, in both of the level complete and out of time, I had to go into here so that when it was constructed, it would get the player's controller, i.e. keyboard and mouse, and actually show the mouse cursor. Otherwise, you'd be sat there with nothing and you wouldn't be able to see your mouse cursor or anything. So that's just basic UI. I will show you that now. See, level complete. It'll show you the time remaining, and you can then return to menu, hover over it. It does the same thing. Okay. Now, the big thing that I've worked on was I added a death animation. However, for the death animation, I had to I used the animation starter pack that Epic gives you, and I went into here and here. There's usually a skeletal mesh in here, but to actually make it work on the 2D side-scroller character, why do I keep calling it a 2D side-scroller character? It's just a side-scroller character. I had to delete the skeletal mesh that was in here, and when it came up with the warning box, there's the just straight up delete that shows, and there's also a replacement that shows. I replaced it with the skeletal mesh for this character, and that allowed me to actually use the different death animations. I used this one, just plain and simple, fall to the ground. So now I'll show you the actual explosive thing, which is the biggest thing that I've worked on. So I had to create a variable called player in radius. I could have just called it radius just for simplicity, but I wanted to make sure I knew what it was for, so I called it player in radius, and I created a big box collision so that when the player overlaps with it, or begins overlap, it will say you're in radius, set the player radius to true, and when they leave the radius or end overlap, it will set the player in radius to false and print safe for now. And then the big thing is this: when the level starts playing, it will begin play, get the spawn emitter at location. That's how you spawn the actual explosion. For location, I just got the actor location, which is this. Then I went and set world scale 3D. This allowed me to change the actual size of the explosion itself. I set it to 3 times its normal size, just so it's like a nice big explosion that the player can very clearly see. And then from here we branch off into a branch node. The condition being if the player is in the radius. If the player isn't in the radius, set a delay of 2 seconds and go back to the beginning. However, if they are, cast to the character, get the character, get the player's health, set the player's health to -0.5, go down into another branch node. If the player's health is less than or equal to 0, then we want to cast to the character again, get the character again, and play the death function, which I will show in a second. However, if they're not, again, delay of 2 seconds, go back to the beginning, start it all again. Now, it seems daunting when you see that, but in reality, now that I've done it, it's quite simple. Now, for the death function, it was as simple as just going in here, clicking add new function, call it death, put it in here. That will disable the input of the player, so they can't do anything. That will be on the player controller, so keyboard and mouse. Play the animation of death 2, and the target will be the player mesh. Now to show that off, I'll just do this. If we go in here, see, it took our health away and it's playing after every 2 seconds. This is a good time to show that I changed the health drop so that it actually adds health now. And then we go back over, get hit again, and it'll play the death animation. But apart from that, that's all I've really done. Over the past couple of days, it was just really trying to figure out how to do this properly and not mess it up. I don't think I've added anything anywhere else. No, I haven't. I mean, I set game paused here so that when the player runs out of time, it's not continuously ticking down. I can't remember if I showed that in the last video or not. And in here, again, I'll set the game to pause so the timer doesn't continue ticking down and the player can't interact and mess with anything. But apart from that, I think that's all I really have for now. Yeah, I think that's all I have for now. But yeah. Next up, I want to be adding more traps, like a fire trap or like a fire pit that the player has to avoid. That will also damage the player. I'll probably make that on a tick instead of just, okay, it's exploded, take away half its health. The fire will be more of a ticking motion instead of bang, bang, bang. I also want to add animations to these, like a cooldown animation, so your player cannot continuously spam them. I don't know whether I'll do this with just like a fill bar, like, and then it says your power up is now ready, but that is something I want to do. I will also be working on adding the actual main menu screen, and later on down the line I also want to create a enemy AI that will throw things at the player or walk up to the player and try to damage them. But for now, that's all I have, and thank you.